Dr. Harry Carter had spent his entire life chasing knowledge. From a very young age, he started reading all kinds of books he could get his hands on. He studied under the finest minds and worked tirelessly in his laboratory all his life. His colleagues really admired him for his passion, but they also feared him in a way. There was something relentless about Harry, something in him that refused to settle for what was known. For years, he had been obsessed with the idea of possibility. What if he had chosen a different career for himself? What if he had said yes to love instead of shutting himself in his lab? What if he had made different decisions? Could they have changed the course of his life to a better one? And so, in his quiet desperation to find the answer to a perfectly content life, he spent years in his lab to invent a door. The door of possibilities. The door was a simple brown wooden frame with a polished brass handle. There was nothing extraordinary about it, except that the door, every time it was opened, did not lead to a single destination. Instead, it revealed multiple versions of Harry's future, based on different choices he could make in his present. He believed he had created the ultimate gift for the entire human race, something that could guide them toward a perfect existence. He imagined a world where no one ever regretted a decision because they could see its outcome beforehand. No more heartbreak, no more wasted years, no more missed opportunities. But he was wrong. Harry opened the door for the first time on a quiet, rainy evening. His heart was pounding faster than normal with excitement and anticipation. Each time he opened the door, he saw a different vision about his future possibilities, each dependent on a different action he could take in the present moment. In a vision, he saw himself as a world-renowned scientist, standing on a stage, accepting a prestigious award. In another vision, he was married, sitting at a dinner table, surrounded by his wife and children, with laughter echoing around him. In yet another, he was an adventurer, standing at the top of a huge mountain, looking down at a breathtaking valley. The possibilities were endless. At first, the door was exhilarating. He spent days opening it again and again, looking at the paths ahead of him. But something unexpected happened. The more he looked, the less he knew what to do. Each choice seemed to hold something wonderful he desired, but also something he would have to sacrifice. If he chose a life of scientific achievement, he would miss out on love. If he chose love, he would miss out on adventure. If he chose adventure, he would miss out on stability. There was no perfect life, only trade-offs. Harry began to realize the cruel irony of his invention. The door did not bring clarity as he wished. It brought more confusion. Instead of feeling empowered, he felt paralyzed to make any choice at all. The more he saw, the more dissatisfied he became. No matter which future he imagined, there was always another that seemed just a little better. He thought about how people in his time lived, how they were always chasing the next best thing, never content with what they already have, but always searching for something more. The relationships around him ended because people thought they could find someone better and more compatible than their current partner. Careers felt empty because the internet showed endless stories of people who had chosen different paths and seemed happier than them. People scrolled endlessly, looking at options, convinced that if they just picked the right one, they would finally feel fulfilled. And then they can finally feel at peace. But fulfillment never came. Harry realized that his invention was not a breakthrough, but was a reflection of the modern disease. The disease of infinite choice. The more choices and exposure people had to different options, the less satisfied they became over time. The illusion of something better around the corner made it impossible for them to commit to the present moment. One evening, exhausted and overwhelmed, Harry stood before the door one last time, his brain filled with the images of all the possible futures. But this time, he did not open the door. Instead, he reached for the door handle and shut the door firmly. He had spent years inventing the door to explore possibilities that he had forgotten to live in the meantime. His obsession with the perfect future had robbed him of many years unlived. That evening, for the first time in years, Harry did not work in his lab. He didn't have anything on his mind to chase anymore. He walked outside and watched the sunset. The sunset he never cared about before. He smelled the air after the rain that night, the moment he had missed multiple times while working in his lab, inventing the door of possibilities. He stopped by a cafe he had passed 100 times but never entered, because he was too busy. He spoke to a stranger on the way home, laughed at an ordinary joke, and felt something shift inside him. That day, he realized that life was not about finding the perfect choice. It was about choosing something that makes sense to you and making it meaningful. There was no best life, only the life that you chose to live fully. Harry never opened the door again. Instead, he locked it away and continued his life. Not a perfect life, of course, but one he embraced completely. In a world full of endless choices, people often forget the beauty of what is already in front of them. The modern world offers them infinite possibilities each day, but too many options do not bring clarity to anyone. The continuous search for something better keeps them from appreciating what they have. Sometimes, the secret to happiness is not in searching for the perfect choice. It is in choosing something, someone, and then making that choice enough. And so, Harry Carter, the man who once sought every possibility, found peace in one simple truth.